Today, we're gonna talk about the heresy that is the high bar squat. Okay, so a high bar squat is a squat where the bar is higher on your back, as opposed to the low bar squat, which we just call the squat. And we like that one better, in spite of doing this video about the high bar squat, because it uses more muscle mass, it uses more muscles of the posterior chain, it puts the back at a more horizontal angle, and that's gonna force your back to get stronger. So the question is, why would I do the high bar squat? When I put the bar up high on my back, it actually makes my back effectively longer. And when my back gets longer, I become more upright. When I become more upright, there's less moment force on my back. My back doesn't get as strong. So the question is, why we use it? There's a couple reasons. One of the reasons we're gonna use it is for people, usually older guys, sometimes like me, who have shoulder mobility issues, who can't really get in a proper low bar squat position. They still got to squat. We can't take them out back and shoot them like there's some racehorse that like hurt their knee, right? So we let them put the bar high on their back because they still got to squat. And it's not an optimal squat, but it's still a squat, right? Two, we often also, oddly enough, also middle-aged to slightly older dudes, but not always, if they are very kyphotic, if they have a rounded upper back, an over rounding of their thoracic spine, it becomes very difficult for them to do a low bar squat because as they bend over with that rounded spine, the bar sits on that hump and wants to roll up the hump. With the high bar squat, you just put it on top of the hump. It sits up there already, right? And so it makes it a little bit easier for them to squat. Some of the PTs that work for us at Barbell Logic and Barbell Logic Online Coaching like to use the high bar squat post back op. So if they've had an operation on their back, specifically like a fusion, because they don't want to overtax the back with a lot of moment in the very beginning, they'll squat with a high bar and they'll get their back strong doing rack pulls, RDLs, lighter deadlifts. And as their deadlift gets stronger and their back is able to hang on to that moment and actually be able to deal with the moment, then they'll start to work the bar back down their back to a low bar squat. High bar squat can also be used as just a supplemental exercise to a normal squat. It's just a good variant to use in a 4-day split, a conjugate type training program. We can use it. So let's show you, because there are a lot of people that can't get in a proper low bar position. You can, but you're the model that's here today. So this is Alexis. And so we're gonna show everybody how to do a high bar squat. So the grip, because the bar sits up higher on your traps, your grip can be really, really close. You'll also probably go ahead and wrap your thumbs around the bar here, because I'll show why. So go ahead and grab the bar, nice and close. Bar's gonna sit right on top of your traps. So in a low bar squat, that's gonna sit down here, just below the spine of the scapula. But in a high bar squat, this is where most people are just gonna automatically put the bar. It's gonna sit on top of the traps, it's still across the shoulders. She's got a close grip. As you step up underneath the bar and stand up tall, we've talked about our squat grip video before, that the forearm needs to be in compression. And you can see that the forearms here are almost completely vertical. There's very little angle to them whatsoever. So step back. Now, a little bit narrower stance, just a tad, about a ½ inch. That looks good. Toes are still out, about a 30-degree angle. Your knees are still gonna go forward and out. They're just gonna go a little more forward than they would on a low bar back squat. But you don't really have to think about that. All you have to do is keep the bar over midfoot. The master cue still applies. And because your torso is essentially longer because we've moved the bar up your back a few inches, you're naturally gonna be more upright in the bottom. Your butt won't go back as far. You're still gonna stay tight in your hamstrings, tight in your adductors, down slow, up fast. Let's see it. That looks great. Knees out hard in the bottom, stay on midfoot. Good, one more, go down slow, and then fire knees out on the way up. Knees out, there you go, good. Walk it in. Good. Okay. Knees out on the way up. Knees out, good. Chest up harder on the way up. Cue chest up here. Chest up, chest up, chest up. Good, walk it in, touch the uprights. All right, so one of the primary cues that I'm gonna use on a high bar squat is chest up. I'm gonna cue to lead with the chest, right? I want you to literally try to lift up and sort of like you were gonna hold a tennis ball between your chin and your chest lifting your chest up out of the hole. Eye gaze is gonna be a little more forward than a low bar squat. The key here is I just want a neutral neck angle, right? So in a low bar squat, if I'm down here like this, I'm gonna look closer to the floor. If on a high bar, I'm a little more vertical, I'm gonna still look down, but I'm gonna look kind of at the bottom of the wall. Out there is a pretty good spot. So let's do another double. The second rep especially, because you're gonna have some fatigue, you're really gonna have to think about chest up, and I'll cue that for you. All right, let's do it. Good. Walk back. All right. Deep breath. Here we go. Knees out, chest up. Here we go. Knees out on the way up. Lead with the chest. Lead with the chest. There we go. Good. One more. Big lead with the chest. Chest up, chest up, chest up. Good. Walk it in. Okay, so on the high bar squat, one of the trade-offs we have, similar to a front squat. So a high bar squat is really in the middle of a low bar squat and a front squat. A front squat, the vast majority of your body is going to be in front of the barbell, in front of the gravity vector. On a low bar squat, the vast majority of your body is going to be behind the barbell or behind the gravity vector. High bar squat's kind of in the middle, but what you're going to see compared to a low bar squat with a high bar squat is a high bar squat is going to have more open hips, more closed knee, and more vertical back, right? And so we have to think about what the trade-off is there. So we're going to work the muscles around the knee a little more. There's going to be more moment force at the knee. It's going to be less moment force on the hip. And remember that the hip extension is controlled by both the hamstrings and the glutes. Those are two big muscle groups that we're actually sliding forward a little closer to the gravity vector, so they get a little less work. So a high bar squat is going to work your hamstrings and butt less than a low bar squat is. And then of course, because of the more vertical back, your back won't get as much work either. Some people want that. Again, talk about those post-op patients, feel like sometimes that's desired. But for the most part, we like the low bar because it works the back, because it makes the back strong. Where do we program high bar? I mean, because people haven't heard me say this yet on the video, high bar is a good supplemental movement for advanced lifters. And of course, there's those special populations that sometimes have to use a high bar. For the advanced lifters, it's a good place to put it is as a supplemental squat after their deadlift on a 4-day split, or as any squat variant type movement that you're gonna have. We're probably never going to replace your competition squat with a high bar squat, but there are times where we can use this as just for novelty factor, as an additional supplemental lift, to sort of just give the lifter a break from doing the same squat over and over and over again. And that works perfectly fine after the deadlift on a 4-day split. I tend to do these with a little lower reps as well. So reps like in sets of 3 tend to work better than sets of 5. And I would rather have higher sets if I'm gonna get my volume going up. So 3 sets of 3 to 4 sets of 3 to 5 sets of 3 to 6 sets of 3, all of those are fine. I would rather do 6 sets of 3 on these than 3 sets of 6. And one of the reasons is because as fatigue comes in, the chest starts to cave, the bar will jump forward, and the lifter will often bounce off the knee tendons. I don't want to bounce off the knee tendons on a high bar squat. I don't want to bounce off the knee tendons on any squat, even a front squat. So I want to try to keep as much tension as I can in the posterior chain. And because of that, I'll tend to do these for lower reps per set and just do more sets to get more volume in. So that's why we do the high bar squat. So if you want to find out more about great supplemental squat videos, check out the squat playlist right up there.